Today we're here at the home of Andrew and Janice Horowitz, and they've opened their backyard to give us a peek of their garden. Janice, thank you so much for showing us your yard. I mean, it's just a lovely landscape.
Thank you.
I love, first of all, as we came by your front door here, the bubbler.
Yes, it was really an important element for me. I grew up on the ocean and always around water, and I just needed to have to incorporate a water feature, an element of sound, and it just brings some interest to the front of the house, for sure.
It's so nice to have that right as you come out the front door, and because it is a pondless feature in your front yard, you don't have to worry about it being a problem or anything.
It's very low maintenance. Every now and then I add water and forget it. And what's nice is that I can hear it from inside as well.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a dual benefit to having a water feature.
Excellent.
It's welcoming too, I think.
Absolutely.
A lot of people enjoy the sound of that as they walk up. So.
Yeah, and you are. I mean, we're here in Tulsa, in urban Tulsa, so you've got a lot of surrounding city noise.
Yes.
But being near this bubbler kind of drowns out some of that.
It's nice because it's one of the first things that you hear as you approach the front of the house. So that's really, it's really pleasurable to see and to hear as well.
Well, and you've incorporated a lot of color. We have sort of a semi-shady front yard here.
Very much.
It's anchored by our huge oak that you have here.
That's true. And this beautiful tree, which I really treasure and try to take very good care of, is the only thing that was here when we moved here 20 years ago. So I've hung on to that and built kind of a garden around that is our kind of our anchor.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of people have that same problem. How do they grow grass underneath a big established tree or a landscape? And it looks like maybe the soil has been elevated just ever so slightly, allowing you to plant some hostas and heucheras under there.
Right. You have to be very careful about putting too much soil on top of a tree like this because obviously you don't want to choke it.
Right.
But with the help of Stone Petal, we worked very diligently to kind of refurbish the soil and really enrich the soil so that what we put in the ground would thrive and survive and grow, which it has. So I'm very happy with the result. And I like the fact that that it's anchored or framed with the stone, and I like the fact that we have different plants around there. It's not all one of the same thing. Yeah, so there's more visual interest
There's
there.
a lot of interest, but one thing that I've noticed is the repeating colors of the kind of the chartreuse and that burgundy foliage, whether it's the Japanese maple behind you, or I love the repetition of the color here on your coral bells too.
I know. These have been very hardy. They've done really well this year in spite of our crazy weather and COVID and everything else, but they have done well, and I like the fact that we've kind of mixed the colors together, so that again it provides a little bit more interest.
And definitely with having color for foliage, you're going to have that color all year or all season.
Exactly.
Rather than just relying on the flowers.
Exactly. Well,
I hear there's more in the backyard.
There is.
Can we go take a look at that?
And I'd be happy to show you.
Excellent.
So come right this way.
Wow, this is lovely as you come around the corner here.
Thank you. It's the south side of our house, and a lot of people forget that they can do things on each side of their house in addition to the front and the back. So what we kind of try to create here, because this is the one place I get a lot of sun, and I wanted to take full advantage of that, so I had a pergola constructed, and we have a variety of climbing plants that creep up and flower, and they're very pretty because they're sun-loving plants, and so that's created another interesting feature of this area.
This is almost like another room, and I think because this is the side of your house between another house, a lot of times this is the forgotten area.
Yes, it is. But it's funny because when friends come over, and we're often in the back, they'll come walking through this as a kind of a pathway to our backyard. So why not create something interesting and visually pleasing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we achieved or tried to achieve here. It's early in the spring, so things are not completely in bloom yet, but it's very pretty in the summer.
And the trellis is a nice addition because, again, you're taking advantage of that vertical space and being able to include more plants in this space.
Yes, and flowering plants. So it really provides some sort of a kind of a picture on a wall. But it's on the outside of the house, so it's kind of fun to do.
And not only identifying the microclimate that you mentioned, that this is a sunny location here too.
Yes, correct.
Well, you've done a phenomenal job with this small side yard. Can we go ahead to your backyard now?
Absolutely, I'd love to show you. Follow me.
Wow, Janice, this is beautiful. I imagine you spend a few summer nights out here.
We spend a lot of not only summer nights, but spring and fall as well, because we have that great climate in Oklahoma, so it's important to create another living space outside, at least for me. I like being outdoors.
Well, it's a little chilly this morning, and I smell your fireplace going. Like it's just
it is
so inviting and cozy back here.
Yes, it's lovely. And we have two fire features. We actually have a fireplace, and then we have the fire pit. And again, I wanted to incorporate an element of water. So we added this little bubbler water feature many years ago, and it kind of combines all those great elements at the same time.
Yeah, so the fire and the water is always a nice landscape feature.
Exactly.
So I like too, you have kind of a seating area up there with the step down. Again, it defines those spaces.
Exactly. I thought it was, this whole yard kind of evolved over 20 years. So we've added things as we have decided how to live in the space, which I think is a smart thing to do, because if you do it all at once, you make a lot of mistakes. So we started with the outdoor space up here, and we just kind of created an outdoor living space, and that's why we added the fireplace. And then we wanted to extend the yard, or the living space, out into the yard, so we created this area as well. So it has additional seating, dining. We also added some shrubs for additional privacy. I don't know what I'm going to do next.
I think you've done really well of using both landscape, hardscape seating to sort of create those boundaries, to create those different spaces.
Right. Well, I think that's important because, as you live in the space, you want to feel a sense of privacy, much like you do when you're sitting in your home. So it's tricky sometimes to get that right because we have to be respectful of our neighbors, but I think we've done a fairly good job of creating a comfortable outdoor space.
Yeah, even with the hollies and the trees in the front yard, you got a split rail fence out there. It still is inviting, but yet cozy.
Right,
so.
And we did those elements to kind of define our space as well, and it's like framing a picture. You start with the frame, and then you kind of work inward and create the picture and the interest.
Yeah,
so
well, you have quite a diversity of trees too.
We do.
Were some of these native or are already here as far as when you moved here? Or?
No, actually, none of them were here when we moved here. There was not a tree at all in the backyard, and one year for the holidays, it was a gift from my husband, who got 13 trees planted for me, most of which are still here. So we have a variety of loblolly trees, which are a kind of a pine tree, and a beautiful plum tree, excuse me. And that's been here for many, many years. And then, of course, traditional Oklahoma redbud trees, which are always beautiful this time of year, and some of the weeping Alaskan trees. So there is a variety of trees, which also lends to interest.
Right.
Some of them change colors differently in the fall, and so it's fun to see the kind of the evolution through each season.
Yeah, both a mix of deciduous and evergreens.
Yes.
And, well, you definitely have painted a lovely picture in your landscape here, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Well, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure to show you around, and we enjoy the space very much. So thank you for letting me share it with you.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.